We're all being told that we can have cheaper bills, cheaper energy bills, or we can have a safe future for our children and our grandchildren, but we can't have both. And that is a lie. We can have both. We can protect the environment and we can reduce our bills at the same time if we take back our energy so that we own it, so that it works for people rather than profit. So today, Tony Blair, our former Prime Minister, has yet again stepped into the discussion about net zero. In case you didn't know, he's been described as a poodle for big oil. He has really close links to oil and gas companies and also to petrostates, which are heavily invested in the system continuing where we rely on oil and gas. So I don't think he's someone to be trusted. I'm sure you don't think he's someone to be trusted. And yet headlines are splashed all over the news about how it's not realistic to have net zero and have cheaper bills and that we have to choose. This is complete nonsense. We do not have to choose if we actually pay attention to who owns our energy. And I've been reading through the report from the Tony Blair Institute. By the way, the Institute is also heavily funded by Larry Ellison, who set up the tech company Oracle, which promotes AI. And he actually wants to use AI, apparently, for citizen surveillance. So that's pretty scary. If you look through this report, AI is mentioned again and again and again. But I'll tell you what's not mentioned. Privatization is not mentioned. Public ownership is not mentioned. Ownership at all is not mentioned. Who owns our energy is not an issue, apparently, according to this report. But we know that £70 billion has flowed out of our pockets into the pockets of shareholders of energy generation companies and our energy networks, which are privatised since 2010. So we are losing billions of pounds because our energy system is so privatised here in the UK. Nearly a quarter of your energy bill goes directly to fund these profits of the energy industry. Tony Blair isn't talking about that. Surprise, surprise. So we need our politicians to actually pay attention to this. The Labour government committed to set up Great British Energy as a publicly owned energy company, but it has been stripped of its budget, and they are not telling the story. They are not explaining to people that taking back our energy is an option. So we're being left with this false debate about net zero, which is crazy. Because actually, support for action on climate change is really, really high amongst the public, but people are getting confused about the messaging because of people like Tony Blair entering this discussion with misinformation. So we need to be really clear. We can have clean energy and we can have cheaper energy. And in fact, those two things go together. The government could explain this by talking about taking back energy. I think it's really clear that Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, is trying really hard. And I was watching the Rest is Politics podcast where he was talking about what he's trying to do and how important it is that we stop climate change. It's important for everyone. Anyone who wants this planet not to burn up, who wants their children to be safe, who wants their grandchildren to be safe, this cuts across all different kinds of groups of people. Everyone wants a safe planet. So right now, it doesn't feel like the government's message is coming through as clearly as they want it to, that actually net zero is really important, a climate change target is really important, and they're being put under pressure by people like Tony Blair to roll back. And the Conservatives have already said that they are rejecting their commitment to net zero by 2030, which is disgraceful. It's completely disgraceful. So here's what we could do to take back our energy. Number one, create a retail company so that you can buy your energy directly from a publicly owned company which is guaranteed not to rip you off. So that's normal in other countries like France, Germany, Italy, the US. They have publicly owned retail companies, and Great British Energy should be providing that to people so that the state can directly offer people savings on their bills from the energy that it's generating. Number two, we need to take back as much of our grid as possible. The reason that our grid is so outdated and the infrastructure needs so much work is because of the privatisation that we've had for the past 30 years. The government has already bought back a bit of the system to create NESO, the National Energy Systems Operator. It has done that work to enable us to plan for net zero, and that means it could compensate shareholders more and take back more of the grid, or in fact, make it less profitable to be in this business because they are making huge profits and start to take back that infrastructure. It's not normal to have such a highly privatized grid. It's not normal in Europe, and we shouldn't be leaking money out of the system in this way. Number 3, the government needs to actually invest at scale in Great British Energy so that we get the results that other countries get from their publicly owned renewables. It shouldn't just be a vehicle for increasing private investment. We should be owning our publicly run renewables all around the coastline of this country so that we can directly benefit from those resources. Number 4, we should be making gas plants a strategic reserve so that gas no longer sets the price of electricity for the entire system. And you can look at Greenpeace's report Power Shift to see how this could reduce bills within 2 years. It's time to take back our public services, including energy, so that we can have affordable bills and a clean planet. It's really not rocket science that monopolies like our energy network should be in public hands, and that we should have an option where we can use a publicly owned company and get bills that aren't ripping us off. And that at the same time, we don't have to worry about the future of our children and our grandchildren and this beautiful planet that we live on. If you agree that public services like energy should belong to us rather than to a handful of shareholders around the world, please get involved. I would be so pleased if you would like this video and comment below with what you think and subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to get involved in campaigning for public services to be owned by us, please sign up to the newsletter in the link below. Thank you.